Aloha everyone, this is Natalie Perez, and I wanted to thank you for listening to my presentation on my project, which focuses on designing an online tutor training module for UH West Oahu peer tutors. I did want to share a brief overview of my project with you. So as a staff member of the No'iau Center, which is a learning center at the University of Hawaii West Oahu, one of my job responsibilities is to create and conduct a biannual tutor training for peer tutors. Now, to comply with CRLA accreditation standards, which is a tutoring accreditation, and develop supplemental tutor training for new and senior tutors, it's really my responsibility to develop an online tutor training program. Consequently, the purpose of this instructional design project is to create and evaluate the effectiveness of an online tutor training module to educate peer tutors at the No'iau Center. So this project has several goals and objectives. In particular, the project goals are to successfully educate peer tutors at the University of Hawaii West Oahu No'iau Center by effectively delivering an online instructional module. Now, my terminal objective stems from two different areas. Number one, our tutors this past semester have ran into some challenges in enhancing the learning environment of their sessions to best meet their student needs. And the second is that the CRLA accreditation standards require training on structuring or modifying the learning environment of tutoring sessions, as well as providing online tutor training. Thus, the terminal objective for this project was appropriate for both the participants as well as the accreditation needs. And this objective was taken almost directly from the CRLA tutor training objectives for accreditation. So it is as follows. After the completion of the online tutor training, tutors will be able to use cognitive scaffolding or student development theory to support learners' academic growth and uses the tools necessary to identify the needs of the learner and to modify practices to best meet those needs. So in order to educate peer tutors, I decided to scaffold the units within this training to best assist the participants in meeting my project's terminal objectives. So in Unit 1, it focuses learners on introducing them to the theory of scaffolding. Learners also are shown how it relates to tutoring and also asked to apply it within a tutoring scenario. In Unit 2, learners are introduced to the theory of the three domains of learning. They're shown how the theory relates to tutoring, and then they're asked to apply the theory within a tutoring scenario. In Unit 3, learners are introduced to the theory of the Socratic method of questioning. They're shown how the theory relates to tutoring, and then asked to apply that theory within a particular tutoring scenario. In Unit 4, learners are introduced to the tutoring method of 6 different hats. They're shown how the theory relates to tutoring and then asked to apply the theory within a tutoring scenario. Now, Unit 5 is actually a cumulative unit that pulls together materials learned and applied in Units 1 through 4. In Unit 5, learners are introduced to the theory of customized learning. They're shown how the theory then contains pretty much the accumulation of the prior units, and then they're asked to apply the theory within a tutoring scenario. So evidently, the audience of this tutor training is very specific. The project's participants will be peer tutors at the No'iau Center. Now, while the tutors do have some differences regarding their age, gender, ethnicity, and academic major choice, they do have some similarities, which include academic standing and employment. Now, in particular, to be eligible to work at the No'iau Center, tutors must uphold a 3.0 or higher GPA. All right, so now I wanted to talk a little bit more about the planning for this project. Really, the planning for this project was challenging, but overall, I felt it was quite an enjoyable experience. Now, in particular, I just wanted to briefly talk first about the process of this project, so from start to end. First, in order to tackle how to develop an online tutor training to customize or modify a learning environment for our tutors, I focused on researching tutor training. I spent roughly about 60 hours looking for best practices for tutor training. Of course, there's not any literature on developing online tutor training, but I was able to find some really helpful guidelines in developing general tutor training. So after I found best practices for developing tutor training, I then started looking at design pedagogies and finding an LMS system that would best meet my needs. So I spent roughly 65 hours choosing two different design methodologies or methods, and I also spent quite a bit of time looking for two pedagogies that best kind of did what I wanted them to do. So those design methods includes using the CASA method, and then I also wanted to focus on really developing a simplistic and minimalistic design to help tutors navigate the site. As far as pedagogies, I chose to use anchored learning, scaffolded learning, and I also I chose connectivism as my pedagogies. Now for my LMS system, I did a lot of different research and I was checking out a bunch of different websites and platforms, and I ultimately decided that the new Google Sites was the best method for me. And then lastly, after choosing the designs, the pedagogies, and the LMS system, I developed the tutor training. In total, I spent about 140 hours developing my Google site, as well as creating and then embedding the content within the site. This included all of the quizzes, activities, pre-post tests, and the videos that I had to custom make for this training. In terms of the project analysis, I really wanted to develop this particular project on meeting the tutor needs and also complying with CRLA accreditation. I think one of the biggest obstacles or challenges I faced was just the sheer time needed for the project development. It was a bit challenging because there were no readily available videos on YouTube for what I needed. So I had to custom create each of my videos, and I really wanted to ensure that each module contained at least one video to provide content, and then most of my assignments have at least one or two videos to help tutors really gauge the different scenarios that I ask them to apply different theories to. I think overall my project accomplishments were the simple and minimalistic design that I really wanted to accomplish. Based on the feedback from my critical friends, it seems I was able to achieve that aim, which I'm really pleased about, as I wanted this training to be really just easy and enjoyable for my learners. I did want to share a few more personal reflections on this project. Now, for one, I felt like the timeline of this course and the weekly schedule really helped me stay on track in meeting my project deadlines and developing my online training module. So I felt like that really worked well, the design and the scaffolding of this course. What didn't work and what kind of went wrong, I felt like really tied together and went hand in hand. At the beginning of this project, I really had a difficult time trying to narrow down the content, and so what I realized is I started off way too broad and soon discovered that I had way too much content for my training. So unfortunately, I had to cut away about half of the content I put into this training. It ended up being kind of a big waste of time, but in hindsight, it needed to be done, and I'm much happier with the more concise instruction I've developed. I think what went well was the choice of using Google Sites. This new form of Google Sites I feel is very pleasant to use, and I think it really works well in developing that minimalistic design and look that I was going for. As far as what I would do next time, I think if I were developing this site again, I would focus a little bit more time on trying to look at the most important areas of instruction rather than wasting a lot of time developing instruction only to delete it afterwards. Now, if I had lots of time and money to do it right, I would definitely hire an IT person or specialist to help me in developing my own LMS system. I'd also really like to collaborate with the UH West Oahu New Media students to assist me in developing better quality and more engaging videos for my learners. So that about wraps up my presentation. Thank you so much again for watching. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. And again, I really appreciate your attention. Take care.